Every 68 seconds, someone is non-consensually assaulted in the United States. This is a statistic that you find on endthebacklog.org's website. Today, I will talk about the Joyful Heart and their mission to eradicate these horrible crimes. For the sake of this video, I'm going to replace the four-letter R word with NCA, meaning non-consensual assault. Mariska Hargitay, who stars in Law & Order, SVU, started this organization in 2010 when thousands of fans were reaching out to her, talking about the same experiences that they had with the cases that she was dealing with on TV. Joyful Heart's vision is to have a world free of NCAs, domestic abuse, and child abuse. Their mission is to change society's response and end this type of violence forever. So before we get into this organization, I want to first explain to the audience what it is that they're exactly trying to advocate for and what their mission is. There's a backlog of NCA kits, and this backlog occurred when victims of these crimes, survivors of these crimes, go into hospitals or medical facilities to get examined after these attacks. There's a backlog from all the tests that were not tested because either the investigators or the prosecutors didn't deem that it was necessary for the case. There's also a backlog of tests that are actually at crime labs due to lack of resources, the processing time, and so many other variables. The question might be why is there a backlog? Why were prosecutors, detectives not taking these crimes seriously enough to get them tested? And it's historically a lot of crimes against women, or most crimes against women, were never taken seriously. They also didn't realize the impact that it would have on these victims if their perpetrators were brought to justice. There's also a lack of resources, understanding, and scientific processes and methods that also contributed to this backlog. So what exactly is an NCA kit? An NCA kit is a medical forensic procedure that happens to survivors of these crimes. This medical examination is between 4 to 6 hours long. The examiner during this medical process has the survivor stand on a white paper or white sheet to collect any dust, fibers, hairs that fall off the victim. This exam includes scraping of the survivor's fingernails, combing through their hair, collecting biological evidence. There's photos that are taken from head to toe to document injuries, have evidence for the case. Although this can be very invasive and extreme, the survivor of the attack can also decline any or all parts of this examination. But the more evidence that there is and the more documented these injuries and assaults are, the better chances of it being solved. As a side note, another mission that the Joyful Heart Foundation is advocating for is Heal the Healer. This foundation is a grant-making foundation that helps deal with people who are on the front lines that first deal with the survivors and go through the process of collecting evidence and gathering information. There's other organizations as well. There's the David Lynch Foundation, and then there's the Transcendental Meditation.org website that also helps with Heal the Healers. The David Lynch Foundation, NTM, both of which I am a practicer of, is a type of meditation. And honestly, just being a TM practitioner every single day for the last year and a half and seeing the amount of healing that has come from these types of organizations, if you know of anyone that is in the medical field that can also heal and receive some peace in the form of this modality of treatment, I highly suggest that you go online to the David Lynch Foundation or TM.org or the Joyful Heart Foundation and Heal the Healers, and let people you know that deal with this or who are survivors of these terrible crimes know of these wonderful opportunities that can help them deal and process these types of traumas. The reason why I chose this organization is that I personally know of and have in my life people who have gone through these types of assault. I also want more videos like this to be out on social media, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, that talk about organizations that are doing so much for women, so much for society, and so much for people who are in the roles of healers, that are in the roles of people who are seeking justice, and have a foundation and platform where we all can help and support. The personal experience that I have was when I was stationed at my last duty station in Doha, Qatar. There were several cases of NCAs within the ranks and within the leadership. Anytime these cases were brought up and these positions were threatened by these cases, the victims were re-victimized, and the individuals that were the perpetrators or the ones that were causing these types of harassments and these issues within our unit were never brought and held accountable for what they were doing. Ironically, my entire chain of command was women at this time, and the predominantly female chain of leadership did nothing about it. If anything, they made the victims feel like it was their fault, or they issued Article 15s, and Article 15s for the civilian world are legal actions against people active duty in the military. They were issuing Article 15s to the victims. The offenders were not being held accountable. If anything, they were getting special treatment. They were put in different units where they had less oversight. The victims were being removed from their places of work and then being put in other units within the area of operation or the AOR. There was zero accountability from my leadership when there was no action or protective measures that leadership enacted for any of the survivors to feel like they were safe. The message that was received from this chain of command was these offenders can do what they want when they wanted and they would be completely fine, and the victims needed to either suck it up or stop causing these issues that were their fault. The times that I was in duty stations before that, where there were predominantly male leaderships, there was zero tolerance for this type of behavior. They were quick to action. They took care of the victim and kept their anonymity if that was the request of the victim, and the offenders were used as examples on the behaviors that they were not tolerating. Unfortunately, this last chain of command, the all-female chain of command that I had in Doha, Qatar, was the reason I decided not to re-enlist for my third enlistment. I regrettably left the Army because of this chain of command. Looking back, I wish I would have stood up for my sisters in arms. I wish that I had advocated harder for their right to speak up and be protected and be allowed a safe environment. I wish I had stood up more to that leadership and have done what I knew was right instead of just deciding to quit the Army and leave. I've come to realize that regret is a very powerful emotion that can propel you towards doing right. Part of this organization and this foundation of Joyful Heart has healed so much of my guilt for not stepping up and saying what I knew was to be right and fair. And being part of this organization and seeing how many lives they're changing 15, 20, 30 years after an NCA kit has been collected has given me a lot of peace and understanding, and realizing that we just need to get the word out there that there are organizations like this here to save us, here to protect us, here to make sure that we hold offenders accountable. Again, this video is a heavy one for me. I appreciate you all staying to the end, watching it, and genuinely and authentically want to bring value and awareness to these types of issues that are in our society. Hopefully together we can eradicate this forever. I do think that is possible, and it will come with a lot of work, it'll come with a lot of effort, and it'll come with a lot of standing up for one another. And so I hope you guys took away what I was trying to relay in this video. Again, this video was heavy, this video was hard, but I know that I had to do it, so thank you for staying to watching till the end. I love you and you love me. Bye.